Welcome, everyone. This is a special episode of the Rogue Mutineers podcast. This is going to be just sports, strictly sports. We're kind of going to work backwards in a sense. We're going to start out talking about the Lions game that just finished 20 minutes ago. We're going to work our way back and talk about Michigan, University of Michigan, and what they've done the last 2 weeks, including their win last night against Washington. We're going to probably brush up on Michigan State. They're also 2-0 this season so far, a couple of good wins. Catch up on the Tigers, Cabrera chasing the 3,000 hit mark, and then, given time constraints, we may do a little bit of like a brushing over of the NFL conferences. Rather than go team by team and cover each team individually, we're thinking we'll just go conference by conference and kind of just give some things within that division, what we're looking for, what we think is going to happen, who the standout players are. So to kick it off, like I said, we're going to start out with the Lions. Before we do that, though, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm your host, Chris Carson. With me, as always, is Dane.
That's me.
Co-host. Nate is not here. Like I said, this is a sports special, so we just wanted to kind of get this in while the Lions game is fresh on our minds. So I guess let's just start right there.
Yeah. The first three quarters looked absolutely atrocious.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it was really bad. Was 31-10 going into the break.
Goff had 94 passing yards.
Yeah, the first half was bad, and it just looked like Goff didn't look confident. And it was funny, we were sitting there watching the game, and as I said it, I was like, man, he just looks like he's afraid to throw the ball, down the field. If he does, he's going to throw a pick.
And then as soon as he said it, he throws the ball 15 yards and throws a pick.
And that was the one that they took to the house, and that was pretty much the turning point right there. I think at that point they went up. Was it 24-10 or was that the 31-10?
I think that was the 31.
Yeah, I believe it was. That kind of, put a damper on things for the first half. Positive things about the Lions, they were able to run the ball really well today. Better than I've seen them run the ball
in a long time.
A very long time. So kind of, taking everything we saw today with a grain of salt, because this was Dan Campbell's first professional game. It's with Jared Goff's first game in a Lions uniform. Penei Sewell, our number one draft pick, this was his first, live game outside of the preseason. They also had to shift Penei Sewell over to left tackle with the Taylor Decker injury.
Which he looked fine there too. So
especially against Nick Bosa, who's a top 5, I would say a top 5 pass rusher in the game. Aside from the one sack,
he basically shut him down.
I would say, all in all, he did his job. He looked good. For a rookie, he looked like he should have, for being a 7th overall pick. I have not had any doubts in my mind about him since we drafted him, and there's been some talk in the media and whatnot about, because Sewell looked like he struggled at right tackle throughout the preseason, people were saying, we should have taken that trade with Carolina, traded back in the draft, taken Justin Fields, and then taken Slater as well. I disagree. I'm not going to argue with what the Lions have done so far.
I like the picks.
Yeah, I liked our draft.
How it's working out.
I think Sewell, and it really doesn't.
I think it just comes down to development time.
Yeah, well, going back to him playing left or playing right, I'm okay with either. I see why you want to keep Decker there, because you signed him to the extension, you gave him the max contract, he's your franchise left tackle, but then you go out and you draft a guy who has played left tackle. He understands the right tackle position. I believe he played in high school, but all throughout college he played left tackle. You want to convert him over, which is fine.
It can't be that much different.
Well, what I've heard it described as is, imagine if you're a righty trying to do everything left-handed. That's the difficulty of switching from one side of the line to the other.
I played drums, so I'm a little ambidextrous, so I don't see the struggles there as much as other people.
I can tell you for sure that I can't throw a football or a baseball
I can't
anywhere near as well with my left hand. It's not even the ballpark. I can barely make the ball go in the direction I want it to with my left hand. It's difficult to throw a baseball left-handed. Back to my point, though, my thing with that is if you're going to move him to left, I think you need to, for his development, And for the ease of transition from college to pro, you need to keep him at one position. So if you're going to put him at left tackle, I would say, let Taylor Decker know, like, hey, if you want to be a left tackle, like, maybe you'll have to do it elsewhere, or we can move you to right tackle because it's for the betterment of the team. And look at this young guy we have over here, like, let's be real, should we have, he went right in high school, left in college, then he went right for the preseason, then left tackle to start the season, then you're going to shift him back over to right tackle a month from now, then he's going to struggle over there, and I don't want to see indecisiveness leading to, like, the team not performing as well as it could because, you're always trying to shuffle pieces around.
So he looked pretty good today, so I say once the other guy comes back, give him a game or two to see what happens. Because he might do just as well over there.
And it's possible. It could be. I mean, if the training staff is good, the coaches are good, maybe they're able to, just parlay his progress that he's had over there left over to right tackle. I don't think it's going to be as easy as it sounds. Like, we can say how easy it could be, but I think it's going to be more difficult. But like you said to start, Nick Bosa, like we said, he's a great pass rusher. He's an elite pass rusher in the NFL. And we saw Penei Sewell handle him. And good.
Fairly well.
And sure, he did get some help, but honestly, even if it was Taylor Decker over there, Taylor Decker would have needed help here and there because that's the kind of edge rusher that Nick Bosa is. And we did see in the game, too, D Ford, I believe it is, got a sack.
Yeah.
So he obviously, coming from the other side of the ball, got around the right tackle, which...
It was kind of honestly a bullshit. The tackle pushed him into him.
Yeah, the way he blocked him...
Bad blocking.
It wasn't... So we can say it wasn't all on D Ford. He didn't... So, just to kind of give an overstatement for the whole offensive line, they performed good.
For the most part, good.
Yeah.
Except for that one play.
Yeah. So offensively, like you said, for the first three quarters, they were slow. There was no tempo.
What's his name? Hawkinson?
Yeah, Hawkinson.
He was the only guy that could catch a ball.
Well, he was the first one to get a touchdown too, which was cool. I like to see that. I think he's going to be a consistent target for Goff. Whether it's check down the field, he probably has the surest hands on the team. He's pretty quick. He's a big-bodied guy. We saw him extending plays. He can take a hit, shed a tackler, and get 3, 4, 5 more yards. And that's what we need in this type of offense that we're running, where it's a lot of dink and dunk. It's a lot of like short passes, screens, out routes. Trying to get your receivers out in space and allow them to do something. And I don't know that Detroit has the weapons to do that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
We talked about this during the game too. Golden Tate, Danny Amendola, those two receivers specifically, who both played in Detroit in the past.
Both probably should still be there.
And they're both free agents right now. They would fit in.
Alex said that Amendola was just picked up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like before the games today.
Okay, so, Golden Tate's still out there. But not that the Lions are going to go sign them. If they were on the team, though, they were the type of receivers I felt that would thrive in this type of offense.
They don't drop balls. They get short amount of yards after contact.
Speaking of the dropping of balls, how many drop passes on
important plays?
Kabinda, our fullback, on a big fourth down, just drop the pass, turn over on downs. We had DeAndre Swift dropped one.
Wide open passes.
They were just hitting him in the hands, and they just weren't catching them. So Swift looked good on the ground. He looked solid through the pass too. I believe his touchdown was on a screen pass.
Yeah.
So he looked good.
Didn't he have 2 and he ran one in later in the game, or is that somebody else?
I think Jamal Williams had.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but yeah, I think we ran one. I think 2 rushing altogether, and then a couple receiving. And then we had a field goal that got us 31, plus the two-point conversions got us 33. So yeah, okay. Because Hawk had the touchdown reception, and then did Cephas have a touchdown reception as well?
Yes.
Yes. So no, it was Jamal got the rushing, Swift got the carrying, or all receiving, but he ran.
Yeah.
It was a screen pass, but those are kind of like run.
It's
plays.
a run, but it's not a run.
Right. But anyways, so something I want to see going forward. More catches, better hands.
better throws.
Yeah, practice that stuff. And it's got to come sooner than the fourth quarter. We can't wait until...
Yeah, we can't have 200 passing yards in the fourth quarter if you have 94 in the first half.
But that was something that I kind of mentioned as we were preparing to do this, was how they played in the fourth quarter. They scored 2 touchdowns, converted 2 two-point conversions, and recovered an onside kick. Sure, the onside kick,
took a weird bounce off the guy's face. But
yeah, that's kind of one of those things where it's really... It's not up to you. It's up to the receiving team. You can't rely on it,
but it's nice when it happens.
It's crazy. Call it luck, whatever you want. But what was fun about this team is that they didn't quit.
Like the 49ers did, clearly.
They quit. When they were up by, 23 points? 16?
41 to 24.
They were up 24 points. Because we got 2. We got 2 and 2 was 16, and then we were still down 8. So we were down 24 points. They basically threw the towel in. They were like, yeah, we're done. We don't have to really play.
We're going to play deep defense. We just can't get anything long, and you're just going to try to knock us down the field, which we did. Which was awesome.
They were giving us, they were giving us the underneath stuff.
Yeah.
And we took advantage of it, but it was reassuring because it showed the offense is going to quit on us. It showed resilience. It allowed us to...
Show Goff can complete some passes. Yeah,
it for sure helped the statistics. But it kind of showed that Anthony Lynn and Dan Campbell, and they were still running the ball, before those last 2 drives. But even Deuce Staley, all the coaches were able to coach up those players and draw up some plays that got their stars, open in space. What was it? It was the play right down the middle on that last drive, and he was wide open. I can't remember if that was Benson or if that was the other guy, number 11, who I think he's an undrafted free agent. Now
I think it was him.
Yeah, I think it was too, and I'm totally drawing a blank on his name again. Shows you how little. I mean, I'm a little embarrassed, but it just goes to show how little we know about this receiving core. And Tyrell Williams was out there. Quintez Cephas was out there. Amon-Ra St. Brown was out there. Instead, we saw Benson a couple times, and then this other guy that I'm totally drawing a blank on his name. It's gonna bug me, but Hawkinson was out there. I don't think Hawkinson dropped any passes. There was the one on the was actually beneficially.
There was one that looked like he might have dropped it on purpose.
Yeah, because he wasn't able to get out of bounds. We probably would have ran the clock out.
We turned it over on downs there anyway, but
yeah. So, like I said, I would like to see better passes. I mean, Goff, those last couple drives really helped boost his completion percentage and made it look like he had a better game. But I would even go as far as say Goff didn't have a good game. He had a good fourth quarter.
Was that one Williams? Jay Williams?
Nope. Not on there?
It's one of those guys.
Khalif Raymond. That's number 11. It was Khalif Raymond. Not somebody that I really thought was going to be a big contributor going into this. But the fact that he's been able to go out there and do some things, it's good. You kind of need to see that because not having a number 1, someone has to step up. And until someone steps up and clearly shows that we have Terrell Williams, and he's supposed to be a number 1, but I understand he's going up against the number 1 corner, but we didn't really see much from him. If you're a number 1 receiver, you should still be a little bit more involved in the game plan.
Yeah.
Kind of looked like the Lions want to kind of dictate things on the ground. As far as time of possession...
They tried to anyway.
Yeah, as far as time of possession, total plays run, I actually think the Lions had more plays, more time of possession, but like a third of the yards of the 49ers because...
Until the fourth quarter when we got 200 or something.
But it just goes to show the Lions are going to have to rely on those kind of methodical drives where it's 4 yards, 5 yards, 3 yards, and just chip away and just move down the field slowly to score. And it's fine here and there, but every drive that you have cannot be that style. You need those chunk plays that are going to eat up, 15, 20 yards because that it allows you to stretch the defense. The defense is going to key and start only trying to stop the run. Once they can do that and they
Then
force
you're
you to
done.
pass, yeah, you're done. You're clearly one dimensional, and we don't have the strength in our passing attack.
You're gonna end up like Dallas against the Bucks.
Yeah. But those are my key takeaways. I thought the defense again played better in the fourth quarter, and that's basically just because we had the ball most of the time.
And they had to. They had no choice.
Yeah. I mean, we had that fumble recovery on the first play that San Francisco had the ball, and, we were feeling pretty good about things. But then, when you turn the ball over on downs and then you recover the ball for the fumble and then eventually miss a field goal, when you go 0 for 2 on your first 2 drives at home, you kind of hurt yourself there. And then just the pick 6 was huge. That was a big turning point, and a couple of those drives where the Detroit Lions could not stop the San Francisco 49ers rushing attack. And once they got a bigger lead, it allowed them to throw the ball more, and then they just built on that lead. And so it was a good game plan. I mean, San Francisco has a terrific team, terrific coaching staff. They are Super Bowl, not favorites, but they're a team that has Super Bowl aspirations this year.
Yeah.
So
they just executed their game plan way better.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if I had to say that I was happier with one side or the other, I think I was more pleased with how the offense played today against this San Francisco 49ers defense.
Especially in the second half.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 10 points in the first half, 23 in the second half. That goes to show you whether that was halftime adjustments, fatigue, San Francisco not really playing defense.
Or just like a Tim Tebow miracle.
Yeah.
He played in Denver.
Mm-hmm. Because it felt like there was a miracle there for a second. Detroit had the ball.
So close.
They were down by 8. They were
on the 25-yard line.
Yeah, and I had about 25 seconds left to go. And I think that was when they just used their last time out. Yep. But they were still an opportunity. They just couldn't get it done. And I'm not too disappointed in this first week loss. We kind of expected it. The fact that it was interesting at the end made it fun. I didn't feel like it was a total waste of time. Would I have liked to have seen the win? Yes. But
it shows hope.
Yeah, I think
we have
that
hope.
Yeah, going forward, there's going to be reason to continue to watch. I mean, it's going to be a rough first few weeks having 49ers this week. I think we play the Packers next week on the road. We come home, we play Baltimore, then we go back on the road and we play Chicago. So we might be 0-3.
Yep. Packers, Ravens, Bears.
We could easily be 0-3 and be looking to get our first win on the road. And who knows, Justin Fields could be the quarterback in Chicago at that point. We'll see later on kind of how that goes. Chicago hasn't played yet today. They play the Rams tonight. It's game of the week, Sunday Night Football. So that's going to be a good matchup to watch. But yeah, like I said, so week 3 we could be facing Justin Fields in Chicago. It could be a really tough matchup. But we'll kind of see how it goes. That's pretty much what I got. Special teams, I was not impressed at all. Punting was meh. I thought we've seen better out of Jack Fox. Our kicking, we missed a field goal.
Kicking needs to change his number.
Yeah, that's not. I don't like that.
It's not respectful.
Number 4 is Jason Hansen, and only Jason Hansen. Leading scorer in Lions history, most clutch kicker
in NFL history.
Yeah, no, that should be retired. If you can't wear number 9, you definitely can't wear number 4. Let's be honest. At least number 4 made it to the playoffs and helped us win a couple games.
And does he still have the longest kick in NFL history?
No,
did Prater take it?
I think it was actually Prater who had it. 63.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's impressive either way. I'd take Matt Prater back.
He beat a yard or two?
Yeah, I think it was like each one has been like a yard further than the other as it's gone. I think it's like 61, 62, 63. Yeah. I don't think there's ever been a 64-yard field goal.
I'm not sure.
We'll have to fact check. We'll bring it to you later date.
I like how we go from an era where it doesn't matter where we're at. We know we're going to get a field goal. And now we can't trust the kicker.
A 51 is not a chip shot, but in the NFL, you kind of expect
a lot of kickers can do it.
Yeah. Matt Prater could have done it.
Matt Prater would have done it every day for the rest of his life.
And you think about, to not get too much into this, last thing I'll say, but if you think about that field goal, if we would have made that field goal, we're up 3-0. Field position changes because instead of giving them the ball at the 45-yard line or 40-yard line. It was good field position for a 51.
I think it's closer to the 45.
So you kind of set them back another 20 yards. You're up 3-0. It's a whole different feel. The momentum wouldn't have shifted like that. It wouldn't have. That kind of gave Kansas City. Gee whiz. I don't know why I got the Chiefs on my mind.
San Francisco.
Yeah, it gave San Francisco a little bit of a confidence boost. You just stuffed that team on 4th down and forced them to turn the ball over. If that doesn't boost up your team a little bit, well, you're crazy. You know it does.
Yeah.
That's a momentum thing. But that's all. I won't drag any more about the Lions.
Yeah. Just because I'm wearing the hat, I'm going to mention Steelers won today. TJ Watt did his TJ Watt thing, forced a fumble or two, recovered them. Steelers score after that. Nothing else looks that terribly notable. Nobody had a whole bunch of yards. Smith-Schuster had 4 catches for 52 yards. Roethlisberger only threw 188 yards.
Not impressive.
So it's they won, but I'm not too impressed with it.
Mm-hmm. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I thought about it earlier about, just placing a little wager between us about, who has more wins, Steelers or Lions. And then I thought about it, and the Steelers are probably going to get...
Yeah, we've decided the Lions are going to get, 4 or 5, and the Steelers are going to get 7 or 8.
Yeah, and, I mean, after the Steelers win today, 7 or 8 might be more like 9 or 10, because Buffalo's a good team. Buffalo's a team expecting to make the conference championship, possibly go to the Super Bowl. That's what they were last year. They don't... I don't think the Bills got any worse. They didn't really do anything to get better. They brought back a lot of the same players. But I have the same expectations for the Bills. So the fact that the Steelers were able to go on the road, wasn't it?
I think so.
And beat the Bills, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, Pitt at Buffalo.
So Pittsburgh's looking like a team that's going to be around. Something that we kind of chatted about earlier, staying in that division of the NFC North. I'm sorry, that's the AFC North. The NFC North is the Lions. AFC North, the Baltimore Ravens have had 4 players.
4 running backs.
No, 3 running backs in a corner. All tear their ACL within the last month. Started with J.K. Dobbins, then they lost their second string running back, and then Gus Edwards, and then Marcus Peters. So, kind of a weird thing going on there in Baltimore. I'm not sure why everyone's suffering the same injury. That's going to hurt Baltimore. It's really going to hurt their run game, and I don't think their pass game is that strong. I think now the AFC North is kind of Cleveland's division to lose. Really.
Basically.
I really think Cleveland is now the front runner with, you look at the Steelers, sure they beat the Bills, they're going to be good, but they're not a team that I think is going to be there at the end. They don't have the youth, really. Their defensive line is getting older. It's improved. They have a great defense. But to rely on Ben Roethlisberger and a rookie running back to get you to the Super Bowl, not realistic in my mind. Yeah. Do we want to run through the divisions or?
We're at 23 minutes, so should we talk about the other stuff first?
We can talk about Michigan football.
I can't find their stats on ESPN.
Michigan?
Yeah.
Well, we'll find it. Keep looking. So, Michigan yesterday played Washington under the lights. It was the primetime game of the week on ESPN, and they did not disappoint. Michigan's rushing attack was outstanding. Hassan Haskins rushed for 155, and Corin, I believe was his name, number 2, rushed for 171. Combined, the rushing attack, I think, touched 370. That's just outstanding. To amass that amount of rushing yards against a Division I team such as Washington, these are, for college level, these are the elite talent. And to put up that kind of offense is impressive.
Yeah.
On the flip side, it's a little bit worrisome that I think Michigan only had 48 total passing yards in the whole game.
33 plus 11 is
44.
44 plus 1 minus 1, so 44.
44 yards. Yeah, 44 yards total passing.
Yeah, and they came on 5 throws.
Well, I mean, they only threw the ball, what, a total of like 12 times in the game? I think it was something it was in the teens. They ran the ball like 40 times.
A lot
almost.
of times.
There was one specific drive I remember. They ran 8 run plays and scored a touchdown. And that was it. The whole drive, it was run, 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 run. And it was a 10-yard run every time. You literally would hand it off, 10 yards, tackled. All right, new set of downs, 10 yards, tackled. Just boom, boom, boom.
Which, if it's going to work that well, you might as well. But.
They didn't change what they were doing. They literally, it was like they ran the same counter play, just left, right, and just chunked down the field and scored a touchdown.
And if the defense isn't going to adjust, I mean...
No, but think about what that does to the will of Washington's defense. Like, you literally, to me, what had happened is they, like I said, they punched in their chest and ripped out their soul. Like, you only threw the ball, 12 times,
Something
15
like that.
times. You completed 5 passes. You amassed 44 passing yards.
He was 7 for 14. 7 for 15. I can read.
You amassed 44 passing yards. If you're Washington, even at halftime, I think he threw the ball twice. You've
got to be demoralized. Like they're not throwing it, and we know what they're doing, and we can't stop it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no question. The only thing you don't know is which direction he's going to run. But you could put 8, 9 guys in the box, and you got outblocked. I know Michigan was running those like heavy sets where they would put 2 or 3 tight ends or an extra tackle. I mean, there was a spot, I think when it was on their first drive and they were trying to go for it. No, I'm getting the Lions and Michigan mixed up. It was in the red zone when they were like on the goal line. They brought out a heavy package, and I think they had at least 8 guys on the line, and then your receivers coming tight, so they're essentially off the ball linemen.
Yeah.
I mean, they lined it straight up against Washington, ran it right at them, and just ran straight through them. Like, it was awesome to watch. It was a lot of fun. And then defensively, it was really just Aiden Hutchinson out there. There was a couple other guys making plays.
Hutchinson, 3 tackles, 1 assist, 2.5 sacks.
He had a forced fumble. He's I can't say he was flying all over the field. He was flying to the ball.
He was getting right there.
If he wasn't making a play, he was hurting the quarterback.
He was affecting it.
Yeah. Or he was, just his presence was forcing the run outside or inside. He was making his presence felt. He was a huge part, but overall the Michigan defense looked good.
Hawkins had 5 tackles. Gary had 5 tackles, or Gray.
Did they have any picks in that game? I feel like they had 1 turnover.
There's no interceptions listed.
It was just that 1 fumble.
Yeah.
So, then it was a clean game on Washington's part, but they had no passing offense. Apparently all of their receivers were hurt. I think their top 3 receivers were out. So they were forced, not by choice, but just, I was their only option. They were forced to run the ball. And Michigan knew that and stuffed it. So, both these teams were trying to do the same thing. Michigan trying to pass less, probably because it's without Ronnie Bell for the season now, their leading receiver. So they're probably trying to, account for that.
They got to pass more than that, but...
Yeah, but why not? Why not just inflict your will on another team? They ran it down their throat. At one point...
I feel like at that point, the pass game should work pretty well because they think you're just going to run all the time.
I think Corin had 9.1 average yards per carry, and he finished with 8 point something.
8.1.
Yeah, but there was a point where he had, I think it was 12 carries and 150 yards. It was nuts.
That means he didn't do very well after that.
Well, he had
21 total carries with 171.
Yeah, he kind of got slowed down towards the end. He's their speed back, so towards the end, he was not extending. He'd get a 4 and a 5, where his skills shine when he can get out in space, make a few moves. I think he had a 67-yard run or a 70-something yard run, and it was basically just he saw the hole, made a move, and just outran everybody down the sideline. Hassan Haskins had more carries, had a few less yards.
27 carries, 155 yards.
But he had the second score. He's their thunder back, so he's their power back. And that dude, basically, he doesn't look big.
He's a power back though.
He doesn't look super huge, but he literally just runs through guys. Like, carrying defenders with him, just plowing through tacklers.
3 or 4 yards.
After first contact. I mean, he gets like 5, makes a guy miss, gets hit, goes for 4 more, falls forward for another one, and before you know it, it keeps going dark. Before you know it, he's got you 11 yards and another first down. And when you can continue to basically just move the ball in the right direction and never find yourself behind the sticks. I mean, I don't recall a play, maybe one, that Michigan was actually behind, like a 2nd and 11, or I don't think there was any 3rd and distance. They were all 3rd and shorts, if they even reached 3rd down. Michigan did what they wanted to do. Their defense looked good. A 31-10 victory at home against a team like Washington is nothing to sneeze at. As of today, Michigan got bumped up to 25th in the nation in the AP poll.
Oh, did it change today?
It did.
I think they changed till Tuesday.
That's a
or
different
is this
one.
Projected poll.
It said official, but it had Ohio State at 9th. It had Alabama 1, Georgia 2, Oklahoma 3. I forget who was 4 now. Might have been Clemson.
So yesterday I made the prediction that Ohio State was going to drop to 10, so it was close.
Mm-hmm.
Oregon was going to jump to 8.
Oregon is 4. That's who's 4.
Notre Dame was going to go to 7.
Notre Dame. I don't remember where Notre Dame. We'd have to look it up.
And what was Iowa? Because they beat Iowa State.
Yeah,
yesterday.
Iowa did move up.
They
They're
were going to go to
now.
I think I had them at 9.
9?
Just
they were 10.
Okay, so it was 10. So I had them at 8.
Yeah. Well, you weren't entirely
yeah.
correct. But anyways, it's cool for Michigan. Michigan State, on the other hand, hasn't had quite the level of talent in their opponents. They started their season against... Why am I drawing a blank on who Michigan State played week 1? Most recently, they played Youngstown State. And it was not even close. First play of the game, Michigan State, flea flicker, 75 yards down the field, touchdown. They had an 80-yard touchdown pass. They had a disgusting interception.
They played Northwestern game 1.
Oh, so that was a Big Ten win. So Michigan State's had a solid win. I mean, Northwestern's nothing. They're not a joke. They're no slouch. They're a solid Big Ten team. And, a win's a win. To be 2-0, it's not terrible. They've got a couple easy games still, along with Michigan, before their schedule gets tougher. Actually, what I'm looking forward to as far as Michigan goes, week 5, they play Wisconsin on the road, and hopefully Michigan's 4-0 at that point. Wisconsin's probably going to be 3 or 4-0, just depending on where their bye week falls. So we could have a matchup of ranked, undefeated opponents, Big Ten matchup. Jim Harbaugh going on the road, a must-win for Harbaugh. He would have to win that game. Otherwise, you're right back where you started.
Mm-hmm.
If he can't... And because I don't want to gloss over it too easily, Ohio State lost this week. Ohio State's not bulletproof. They didn't look great against Oregon. Their season's not going to get any easier. They got to play Michigan State. They've got to play Iowa. Iowa does not play them this year. I think they got to play Penn State. But any Big Ten, this year, always Ohio State. Usually Wisconsin. Penn State's always tough. Iowa's tough.
They got
Michigan
Tulsa
State's
next week,
looking
though.
good.
Tulsa and Akron the next 2 weeks.
Tulsa played Oklahoma close. Tulsa almost beat Oklahoma in week 1.
Okay, so that might...
Ohio State will win, but it's not going to be a walk
easy.
in the park. No, they're going to have to come out and actually play like they, like they were trying to prove something. If you just go out there and think the other team's going to hand you a W... That's why they lost to Oregon.
Yeah, but
they lost at home.
They're going to crush Akron the next week.
Yeah. Back to my point. We saw Ohio State has a kink in the armor. So if you're Michigan, you've got to go on the road. You've got to beat Wisconsin. You've basically got to go undefeated. This is the year where if Jim Harbaugh wants to prove that this program has any hope of regaining its glory of its old days, in the 90s.
Bo Schembechler.
Yeah, but he's kind of in a negative light with the whole doctor. And we won't.
Yeah, the days of, not the coach himself, but.
Yeah, I've heard he wasn't that great, wasn't a super nice guy, but that's what everyone looks back to. I wasn't around for those days.
That's why he wears the thin M hat, though, because it was his coach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think Harbaugh's a little bit better of a dude. Probably nicer to his players.
I
but
would agree.
We won't get into the political side of it. I just think if Michigan doesn't do it this year, it's not going to get any better. It's only going to get worse. Jim Harbaugh's got to go out there and he's got to win the big games.
Get some W's.
He's got to get a Big Ten championship. He needs to beat Ohio State. Yeah, that's really what it comes down to. And the way it's looking this year, there's no reason why he can't. It looks like Jim Harbaugh went back to his old roots of what he used to do in Stanford. The additional tight ends, basically just put your big guys out there and outblock them.
And it's working so far.
He had great success at Stanford. But that's the end of my Michigan and Jim Harbaugh talk. I know I was on to Michigan State. Michigan State looks good. They look, again, it's hard to tell because they played such a small school. Like, it's not a football powerhouse. It's not a really good judge of where they're at.
The plays that they made.
Oh, yeah.
Like that fucking interception.
The interception alone. Michigan State deserves to be ranked, and I think just depending on how it shapes up, by the end of the year, there could be like 6 or 7 ranked Big Ten teams.
As it should be.
Yeah. Texas barely beat Colorado this week. 10-7, I think, was the final score. Man, I could talk all day. I'm jumping all over the place. But what I'm saying is, like, just the way things are going, the Big Ten keeps going, there could be a lot of good opponents. There could be a lot of good games. Michigan and Michigan State potentially could both, be top 25 teams. I don't think Michigan State's there as far as contending for a Big Ten title, but they're making improvements. They're getting better. Mel Tucker in his second year looks like, he's got things kind of where he wants them or heading in that direction. Michigan State, all in all, their game, like I said, it's hard to judge because of who they played, but 2-0 is not anything to be ashamed of, and they've got some easy games coming up.
Yeah, little brother's doing his thing.
Well, yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that. Who's had more success as of late?
Don't ask me questions.
Michigan State. Who's been in the Rose Bowl more recently? Michigan State. Who's won a Big Ten title more recently? Michigan State.
See, little brother's doing his thing.
Whatever. I like both teams. I'll say Michigan is the big brother again when they prove it. Until then, they're the little brother. Michigan State won last year. I think they've won 5 of the last 6 against Michigan, or 4 of the last 6.
I bleed maize and blue. So
when you mix those two colors together, it makes green. So
that's fair.
When your blood's coming out, it's eventually gonna mix. But I'm just happy to see both of our teams doing well. 2-0 is awesome. And then staying in the state of Michigan, but switching sports over to baseball, just to give a quick update on the Tigers. Today they wrapped up the series against the Tampa Bay Rays at home.
Holding it together and
they did. It was the 11th inning, and it actually was a walk-off walk. I'm trying to remember. I think
that's embarrassing.
I want to say it was Robbie Grossman that got walked, but either way, bases loaded walk, brought in the run. Tigers won it 8-7 in the 11th and took 2 out of 3 at home against the Rays, who have 89 wins. Like, they're the leader of the AL East, ahead of the Yankees, ahead of the Red Sox, ahead of the Blue Jays. The Rays are like a legit team. I don't know what the heck happened. It like froze up on there, but
still counting.
Yeah. Anyways, just can't see myself. Pretty solid performance from the Tigers, especially against a good team. Cabrera, as of today, is now 25 hits away from 3,000. He's
on a 10-game hitting streak.
Yeah, I think his batting average has got to be reaching like 265, 266 now.
Let's find out.
I'm astonished because looking at how this season started and how the team played and just like all of a sudden like
263.
But there was like a point where a switch was flicked or the key was turned and they started going. Like if if only we could just cut off that first month of the season, Tigers would be playing
Great.
better than 500 baseball. I think Cabrera would be hitting close to 300. I mean, everything's been progressively improving since since the beginning of May. April was a rough month, but from May, June, July, August, and now into September, we played well. It was 3 winning months in a row. We took a slight step back in August. We think we lost 2 more games. We were like 12 and 14. But August was a tough month. We had a lot of good teams that we had to play in August. So, we played... Oh man, we played the Athletics. I believe we played the Red Sox. We played the Indians. We played the Angels. We played the Blue Jays. We were playing really good teams. So to finish 2 games below 500 in that month against those teams is impressive. Everybody's kind of turned it on right now. Grossman seems to be hitting a little better. Candelario seems to be hitting better with more power. Harold Castro started hitting better. There was a few weeks ago, he smashed a home run 430 feet, dead center field. Second day in a row, he hit a home run as well. In 2 days, he tripled his home run numbers. He went from 1 to 3 in a matter of 2 days. So, he discovered this little pop in his swing. I mean,
tripling your home run numbers in numbers that small.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
But, it's still cool to say.
Yeah.
And then as far as pitching goes... Pitching still is what it is. Unfortunately, Matt Boyd's back on the DL, or the IL, whatever
you want to call it.
The injured list.
The official name.
Casey Mize is still having his innings limited. However, though, I saw Casey Mize pitch in Cincinnati last weekend, and they're still doing the innings limit. But I believe he went 3 innings, no hits. No walks. So he pitched a perfect 3 innings and then they pulled him, which I was like, well, shit, that sucks. Luckily, the Tigers went on to win that game 4-1. It was a pretty solid game. It was kind of funny. Joey Votto came up 3 or 4 times with runners in scoring position and looking for a big hit. And I believe he ended up going 0 for 5 that day. Basically, it was impressive to see the whole... Because after Mize came out, Urania came in, and then I think we saw, might have been Derek Holland. I think Cisnero pitched in that game. Gregory Soto ended up coming in to close it out. So we saw at least 5 pitchers, and assuming 0 for 5, maybe he might have faced Mize. No, he couldn't have because he went 9 up, 9 down. So basically every pitcher that faced Joey Votto got him out. He had nothing for any of our pitching staff. And like I said, it was a 4-1 finish. So to go on the road in a National League ballpark and limit them to 1 run, it's
pretty good.
It's good. And we won that series as well, too. And, that's the thing that's important to me. We just won the series against the Rays. We won the series against Cincinnati. Both those teams were well above 500. The Brewers series, I think, is the last series that we didn't take 2 out of 3 from. And the Brewers are really good. But other than that, we've been winning series against teams that we really shouldn't. I think the Athletics might have taken that series against us too, which is why I think we sit now at 68 and 76, 8 games under 500. But to be completely honest with where this season started and where we're at now, I'm more than pleased with where we're at. I think we've exceeded the expectations. When the season started, people were projecting the Tigers to get between 48 and 50 wins. We've already gotten almost 20 more wins on top of that. The season's not over. If we hit 70 wins this year, to me, that's a total success on the season.
I think
you got great pitching out of Casey Mize. You got pitching out of Matt Manning, Tyler Alexander, Tariq Skubal. Those guys mainly. Cisnero hasn't looked bad. Soto's he's got some kinks he needs to work out. But there's a few pieces you can build on. And then when you look at the offense, it's just a perfect situation. You can do almost whatever you want. The only real staple is Jonathan Scope. That dude can play first, that dude can play second. But all the rest of your pieces are young enough that you have team control. You can send them down, you can keep them on the roster and put them on the bench, or you can keep giving them playing time to hone their skills and try to get better. But if you go out in the offseason and you want to spend some money and bring some guys in, you're not losing anything as far as like development. You'll plug those players in somewhere else. If you get a new shortstop, move Scope to first. You have a lot of flexibility with the team. You don't have to bring everybody back. I know Grossman wants to stay. I'd like to see Grossman stay.
I'd like to see him stay.
But if he doesn't, he's not someone that's not replaceable. We have Derek Hill. We have Akil Baddoo. We have Victor Reyes. And those are all solid outfielders.
Yep.
And their bats, given the number of at-bats, given a couple seasons, they're going to come along. I mean...
And I think I like Akil Baddoo better than...
Oh, absolutely.
Grossman.
As far as overall as a player, I think Akil Baddoo has a higher ceiling. He's also younger. I think he's a little faster.
I don't know that he bats as well.
Yeah, Grossman's a switch hitter though. That's something clutch to have on in your lineup. So, and I think he's got a little bit more power.
I think ideally we keep both.
I think so too.
Baddoo in center and Grossman in left. Thinks we plays.
Yeah. Well, Grossman can play in right. What's cool, what I've seen him do is they'll move Baddoo over to left and put Hill out in center. And then you get a lot of speed out there. I mean, when you consider, you could have, playing right center and, right center and, left center almost. Shift him over a little bit if you feel like your right fielder is not as strong. If it is Victor Reyes, I don't think he's as good defensively. He's not bad, but... they can cover more ground. So I like that combination. It also, you got to remember, Cabrera's going to continue to get older. Different players are going to have to DH when he just needs a day of rest altogether. So that's an opportunity Grossman can DH, or and the flexibility also when you consider Eric Haas can also play the outfield, or he can catch. The versatility of Castro's they can play shortstop, second base, and I think Harold can even play first base. Scope can play second and first. So there's a lot of pieces that can be moved around there. With Goodrum being back, he can play the middle infield and the outfield. Candelario, you could he pretty much only plays third base,
basically.
But what I'm trying to say is the Tigers, and I think every time I'm on the show, I say I'm pretty well pleased. They continue to exceed my expectations.
I like what they're doing, and I like where they're going for the future.
And then one last thing I want to talk about as far as baseball is the Mud Hens, who
have a stellar lineup right now.
They're playing better than 500 baseball. They're in the playoff. If the season were to end today, I believe they'd be in the playoffs. I know... Torkelson had 5 home runs so far in AAA.
He's been there for 3 weeks now?
3 weeks a month?
If he's
something like that. But it's been fun to watch. I mean, because this is something that kind of only happens in video games. If you are a video game connoisseur such as ourselves and you play the show, which if you're watching this, you probably do play the show. But when you do Road to the Show, you're usually a little bit better than the competition, and you're able to go single to double, double to triple, AAA to the pros.
Unless you're me trying to be a batter and you fucking suck.
Well, we can't all be superstars.
But I rush through those pitching ones, though.
Yeah. But when you look at what Spencer Torkelson and Riley Green, basically together, that pair has moved up, and I'm expecting, and that's another thing, jogging back a little bit, Riley Green plays the outfield. You can, but you don't need Riley Green, Akil Baddoo, Derek Hill, Victor Reyes, Robbie Grossman, Nico Goodrum.
That's a lot of guys.
Eric Haas. All 7 of those guys can play the outfield. You don't need that many guys to play the outfield. So
Eric Haas doubles as a catcher, though.
Right.
And so he still could stay.
Yeah, what I'm saying, though, is it feels like either Green and, maybe Hill or just however it works, when you got to shrink your roster back down, whatever. Well, actually, I don't know the rules anymore. Because now you get the September call-ups, which allows you to expand, and I think that's how we were able to keep Derek Hill up on the roster.
You only get 2 spots now, though.
Right. And I know COVID kind of made it a little different to where you could have like a 5-man taxi squad that went with you on road trips in case you needed to make adjustments. So my thinking is that you would either have to keep one of them or 2 of them in AAA or trade one because they're all too good to go back down to AA. And I think some of them might be too good. Not too good, but they're better.
Deserve to be in the majors.
Exactly. And it's like a good position for the Tigers to be in, having all these positions, as well as Isaac Paredes. He's a guy that could be, third base, second base on your team in the next year or two. And where's the room for him? So it's like the Tigers are in a good position where they can continue to.
Well, they have too many players.
Well, that's a good spot to be in, though.
Yeah.
They can continue to try to stock that farm system and basically have, like, a full major league ready lineup in AAA. I mean, imagine Isaac Paredes, Riley Green, Derek Hill, Spencer Torkelson. If he has to be sent down, Grayson Griner at catcher.
Yeah.
I mean, right there, they've got Christian Stewart.
Yep. Forgot about him.
And if he gets sent back down, Victor Reyes could be out there. They have a squad.
At that point, if anyone gets hurt in the majors, you just have somebody ready to take their spot.
Like they're
do just fine.
I don't know a lot of other major league teams, AAA teams, and what their their prospects look like.
But I don't think they're that good either.
No, I think the Tigers minor league system is looking really good. And like I said, it's a good spot to be in. You can use these players as trade bait, or not trade bait. But
that's what it is, though.
Yeah, essentially, try to package 2 or 3 of them together and send them off to
wherever
in exchange. Yeah, to wherever in exchange, maybe for a larger contract because they keep saying how they have money to spend. Al Avila, AJ Hinch, and Chris Ilitch are all saying like we're here to contend. We're not rebuilding anymore. We're going to go out and spend money this offseason. We're going to make this team better. We're done tearing this thing apart. We're going to compete, and if you don't want to join us, then we're going to beat you. They're all saying the same thing. So I'm going to believe it when it happens because...
So we're signing Trevor Story in the offseason, right?
Actually, is he a free agent this year, or does he still have 1 year of...
I thought that he was a free agent after this year.
I thought so. Trying to remember. I feel like that's what has been the storyline all year. But what I hear a lot of is like Javier Baez, Carlos Correa, which personally I want neither one of them. I would prefer to have Trevor Story. There's a lot of concern with Trevor Story though because he's a power hitter in Colorado.
Yeah, he'll be a free agent at the end of the season.
Well, you have better power numbers in Colorado. I don't really understand why. Hitters ballpark, air pressure. I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
The Rockies do plan on making a qualifying offer, though.
Yeah, but I don't think Trevor Story wants to stay there. I'm sorry, but that's the toughest division in baseball, and the Rockies will never win it.
Probably not. Do you think he wants to go to Detroit?
Yeah. Hell yeah. He's, what, do you think the Dodgers ain't taking him?
No.
San Francisco's probably not going to have the money. San Diego can't afford him. Oakland can't afford him. The Yankees don't necessarily need him. The Rays can't afford him. The Indians might go after him. He could go to the Indians. Hitters ballpark, new name, new logo, new city, team that spends money. They're going to be upgrading that stadium. They need a shortstop with the loss of Francisco Lindor. I think they need a shortstop. That would be my guess. Yeah, or Chicago. I mean, I guess the options are out there. Los Angeles needs a shortstop.
So worst case scenario, he goes to Cleveland. Best case scenario, he comes to Detroit.
Yeah. Let's take a break right here.